The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. Introduction: A simple path to inner freedom. At its heart, The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz offers more than just wisdom. It provides a spiritual framework for how to live with integrity, clarity, and peace in an often chaotic world. Drawing from the ancient teachings of the Toltec tradition, this small but powerful book presents four essential principles that, when practiced with intention, have the power to radically transform your life. These are not abstract, philosophical musings. They are practical agreements you make with yourself, and they touch every corner of your personal and professional existence. What makes this book so enduring is its clarity and resonance. Ruiz strips away the noise and confusion of modern life and returns us to simple truths that feel both ancient and urgently relevant. The Four Agreements: be impeccable with your word, don't take anything personally, don't make assumptions, and always do your best, aren't complex, but they are deeply challenging. They demand self-awareness, courage, and a willingness to break free from the unconscious patterns and limiting beliefs we often accept without question. This book has not only shifted the way many people see themselves and others, but it has also influenced workplaces, communities, and relationships. When applied consistently, these principles become a daily practice of freedom. Freedom from judgment, misunderstanding, resentment, and self-doubt. They create the foundation for meaningful communication, true connection, and lasting peace. Whether you're picking up the Four Agreements for the first time or returning to it for a fresh perspective, what follows is a deeper look at each of the four principles and how they can guide you to live with greater purpose, honesty, and fulfillment. First agreement: be impeccable with your word. The first agreement, be impeccable with your word, lays the foundation for all the others. It reminds us that our words are not neutral. They carry the weight to build or destroy, to uplift or to wound. And while we often think of our words in the context of how we speak to others, Don Miguel Ruiz shows us that their greatest impact may actually lie in how we speak to ourselves. To be impeccable with your word means to speak with integrity. It means saying what you mean and only what you mean, without using your voice to spread negativity, judgment, or self-harm. This includes steering away from gossip, criticism, or careless speech, especially in professional or team settings. In a workplace culture, for instance, gossip can be a silent killer. It erodes trust, breeds resentment, and turns communication into manipulation. When a team commits to honesty, accountability, and respect in conversation, it creates a space for clarity and collaboration. It fosters healing over harm, and that shift alone can transform everything from morale to performance. But the agreement goes deeper. The way we talk to ourselves, often silently and unconsciously, can be just as powerful, if not more. Many of our self-doubts, insecurities, and limiting beliefs trace back to words spoken over us long ago. A childhood insult, a flippant opinion, or even a single comment about our appearance or ability can echo for decades if we've unconsciously agreed to it. When we call ourselves not good enough or internalize failure as identity, we're casting spells that limit our growth. Being impeccable with your word asks you to stop using language as a weapon, even against yourself. Instead, use words that reflect truth and love. Speak to yourself as you would a close friend. Correct mistakes without shame. Build others up without exaggeration. And when you're tempted to say something reactive or cruel, Pause, because what you send out always finds its way back. When your words come from a place of self-respect and compassion, they create more of the same in the world around you. This agreement isn't about being perfect, it's about being intentional. It's a commitment to awareness in every conversation, every comment, and every internal dialogue. And it's a call to treat language like the sacred tool it is. When you use it to express truth, kindness, and purpose, your words become a source of healing for others and for yourself. Second agreement: don't take anything personally. This second agreement might be the most liberating of them all. Don't take anything personally, such a simple instruction, yet it asks us to completely rewire how we interpret the world around us. We've all been there. Someone gives us a look, sends a curt message, or reacts in a way that triggers insecurity. Instantly, we start spinning stories about what we did wrong, what they must think of us, or how we're to blame. But Don Miguel Ruiz reminds us that other people's behavior is never truly about us. It's a reflection of their own emotions, their own battles, their own filters. In any environment, especially in high-stakes, high-stress workplaces, emotions run high. When someone you work with is upset, it's easy to assume their reaction is a judgment on you. But if you internalize every shift in mood or comment as personal, it creates unnecessary stress and tension. The truth is, people react from their own experience, not yours. Learning not to take those reactions personally allows space for compassion and clarity, rather than confusion and self-doubt. This agreement also calls for a deeper kind of self-trust. When you know who you are, what your intentions are, what values you stand for, you stop needing constant validation. You can receive feedback without feeling attacked. You can witness someone's frustration without making it about you. And you can lead, communicate, and grow without letting every emotional ripple knock you off center. This is not about becoming cold or detached. It's about becoming resilient. In relationships, this mindset opens the door to stronger connections. When we no longer assume bad intent or take things as a personal blow, we create space for honest dialogue and understanding. In teams and communities, this builds psychological safety, because no one feels like they're walking on eggshells, waiting to be misunderstood. There's a quiet power in choosing not to be wounded by someone else's projections. It doesn't mean you don't care, it means you care deeply, but you also choose peace over insecurity, clarity over assumption. And that choice makes all the difference, both in the way you see yourself and in how you relate to the world around you. Third agreement: don't make assumptions. Of all the agreements, this might be the most quietly destructive and the hardest to break. As humans, our minds are wired for efficiency, constantly scanning for patterns and drawing conclusions to save time and energy. It's a useful evolutionary trait, but in modern relationships and communication, it can lead to unnecessary conflict and deep misunderstanding. Don Miguel Ruiz reminds us that assumptions are simply unspoken stories we tell ourselves. And the danger is, we tend to believe those stories as if they were facts. The moment we make assumptions, we stop seeking the truth. Instead of asking questions, we fill in the blanks with our own interpretations. What someone meant by a comment, why someone looked at us a certain way, what someone's silence must imply. These interpretations feel real because they trigger real emotions: anger, sadness, frustration. But so often they're based not on reality, but on projection. One of the most common places this shows up is in personal relationships. You expect someone to behave a certain way, and when they don't, Your mind jumps in to fill the gap. They don't care. They're selfish. They should know better. But the truth is, no one can read your mind, and you can't read theirs. A better path is to pause, ask, clarify, and communicate. This small act of seeking understanding instead of assigning meaning can diffuse tension, prevent resentment, and preserve trust. In a professional setting, this becomes even more critical. As a leader or colleague, assuming someone knows what you meant or fully grasped your instructions can create costly errors, not to mention damage confidence and relationships. Making room for observation and verification instead of assumption is a mark of respect, not distrust. It shows you care about getting things right, not just being right. More than anything, this agreement is a practice in humility. It asks us to acknowledge that our version of a situation is not the whole truth. It encourages us to slow down, to ask thoughtful questions, and to embrace uncertainty without fear. And by doing so, we invite more peace, more understanding, and more genuine connection into every aspect of our lives. Fourth agreement: always do your best. The fourth agreement, always do your best, might seem the most straightforward, but in practice it requires a delicate balance of effort, self-compassion, and integrity. At its core, this agreement is a call to action, a daily invitation to show up fully, to participate in life without holding back, and to meet each moment with as much presence and energy as you can offer. But what makes this agreement so profound is that your best isn't a fixed standard. It changes from day to day. Some days, your best will look like peak performance. You'll feel sharp, energized, and capable of giving it your all. Other days, your best might mean simply showing up, holding it together, or getting through the basics while dealing with stress, illness, or exhaustion. And that's okay. Doing your best is not about perfection or producing constant, relentless output. It's about being honest with yourself, staying engaged, and giving the fullest version of what you have in that moment. However, this principle isn't an excuse for passivity. It's not about lowering standards or using trying as a shield for avoiding effort. It's about honoring your potential without burning yourself out, chasing unrealistic ideals. When you do less than you're capable of, not because you're tired, but because you're checked out or indifferent, it leaves a residue of regret. That quiet inner voice knows the difference. Guilt and frustration creep in when we fall short of our own values, not because we failed, but because we didn't try. This agreement also asks you to approach action as something meaningful in and of itself, not just a means to an end. When you work only for the reward, whether it's a paycheck or recognition, you start to resent the process. Life becomes a waiting game instead of a lived experience. But when you shift your mindset toward doing your best as a form of self-expression, as a way to embody pride, purpose, and passion, everything changes. Work becomes less of a burden and more of a reflection of who you are. Ultimately, always doing your best frees you. It frees you from self-judgment, because when you know you've done what you could, there's nothing left to regret. It frees you from comparison, because you're measuring yourself against your own potential, not someone else's. And it frees you from fear, because action, no matter how imperfect, is always more powerful than hesitation. Every choice to show up, even in small ways, builds momentum toward a more honest, fulfilled, and joyful life. And a code of freedom for everyday life. The Four Agreements offers more than timeless wisdom. It's a practical framework for living with clarity, compassion, and courage in a world that constantly challenges your peace of mind. These four simple principles: be impeccable with your word, don't take anything personally, don't make assumptions, and always do your best, aren't just ideas to reflect on, they're agreements to live by. They strip away confusion and self-sabotage and bring you back to yourself over and over again. What struck me most while revisiting this book is how relevant it remains, no matter where you are in life. Whether you're navigating conflict, dealing with self-doubt, or simply trying to be more present in your relationships, these agreements serve as a compass, reminding you of your power to choose your words, your perspective, and your energy. The more you apply them, the more you notice the shift, not just in how you show up, but in how others respond to you. If this video helped you reconnect with these teachings, or inspired you to explore them for the first time, don't forget to like, subscribe, and tap the notification bell so you can catch future book summaries that support your journey. Let's open it up in the comments. Which of the four agreements do you find most challenging? Which one do you want to integrate more deeply into your life? And if you want to go further, you'll find links in the description to purchase the full book in multiple languages, plus more summaries that help you grow, one insight at a time.